Just preparing. Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah, we are live.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly masterclass initiative by District 92 Toastmasters International. This is the second. This is the second session, which is the October edition of the monthly masterclass. What do we do at Toastmasters? We empower individuals to become better communicators and great leaders. And here in today's session, we have an amazing speaker with us. A lot of people have learned from his words, how he speaks, and also from his leadership capabilities. I had the chance of meeting him in person multiple times, and I'm really happy that he is such an honorable member of District 92 that he is already the Presidential Citation Award recipient of the year 2025. I don't want to break the suspense with long lines of introduction for our speaker today. With that, I hand it over to our EduCom lead, Toastmaster Pranav Raj, to formally invite the speaker on the dais. Thank you so much. Over to you, Pranav.
Thank you so much, DTM Sairish. Our speaker for today, DTM 𝗙𝗶𝗵𝗏, aka Kadri, is a storyteller alchemist and the public speaking mentor with over 20 years of experience. He's a Guinness World Record holder for the longest lesson learned. He taught non-stop 36 students for 78 hours and 3 minutes, raising for education of underprivileged children. He's the first Asian to win the international taped speech contest, Toastmasters International Convention 2000, and he's also dedicated Toastmaster for 20 years. He has conducted over 30 educational sessions across districts worldwide and started and mentored 20 plus clubs. A TEDx speaker and a speech coach for CEOs and country heads. Kadri also serves as a leadership coach for Fortune 500 companies. A poet and author, he co-authored Conquer the Stage with Dr. Dilip, past president Toastmasters International, and as our DTM Sairish clearly told, he was honored with the Presidential Citation, the highest recognition from Toastmasters International at the Philadelphia Convention, USA 2025. It's with great pleasure that I welcome DTM Kadri, presenting on the topic, the phenomenal power of pauses. Over to you, DTM Kadri.
Thank you, Pravan Raj, for that phenomenal introduction. Before I start, since you spoke about my book and Dilip's book, I want to give 3 hard copies of my book for three champions or winners. One is the person who involves most in terms of screens presence, in terms of getting a lot of questions. So I'm going to give you a hard copy of the Conquer the Stage book, which is written by me and Dr. Dilip. The cost of the book is $25. And the second prize will be given to the person who asks the best question. And the third is Masterclass. We got 3 courier, baby. Get autograph to US. Okay. Now back to my recent holiday in Coorg. I went with my wife, not with my girlfriend. I was sitting in a resort. Okay. And I was looking out at the garden. And it was just raining heavily. The rain settled down slowly. And I saw a little tiny drop of silver colored water trickling down a twig. It moved slowly to the edge of the green leaf and then stopped. I felt restless. Why wasn't it moving? For a moment, time itself had stopped and paused. And after a long pause, this shimmering drop finally moved and dropped gently to the beautiful mosaic ground below. A pause is like a raindrop suspended in time, a breath of reflection, and a spark of truth. When we look around us in nature, every pause has deep meaning. The stillness after the storm, the silence before the dawn, the moment when the wind holds its breath, and then a slow whistle. All of us love music, but when we listen to music, we need to understand the pause plays an important role. The world-famous pianist 𝗤𝗂𝗏 once said, "The notes I handle no better than many pianists, but the pauses in between the notes, that is where my art resides." And in public speaking, a pause is that silent, magical element which gives energy, life, and meaning to the words. It's what separates ordinary speakers from extraordinary ones. It's a difference between club champions and world champions. It's what turns silence into phenomenal power. A good evening to all the Toastmasters and the guests. Let me take you on a journey to demonstrate the phenomenal power of pauses. I'm going to check now. Each close your eyes. I can't see all the 56 million people. Close your eyes. Focus on the sounds around you. What sounds do you hear? Someone speaking? A dog barking? The sound of a horn? The hum of an air conditioner? Now consciously shift your focus to your breath. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out slowly. Can you feel and hear your breath? Now, take your right hand and move towards your left hand around your wrist. Try to feel your pulse. Can you feel the pulsating effect? Can you feel your heartbeat? Now open your eyes. In these 60 seconds, we moved from the external noisy world to the inner calm world. The message is very clear. The more we connect with the inner space, the more we truly align with the true energy and final peace. Now, Toastmasters, in less than 60 seconds, I mobilized you from passive listeners into active participants in silence. So this kind of pause, the first pause, is called the mobilizing pause. And what is a mobilizing pause? Planned silence that you activate the audience, prompting them to reflect or do an activity, and you reinforce a message. That's what exactly I did. And the message which I gave was that we need to move from the outer noise to the inner noise. So the first pause is called the mobilizing pause, which actually involves an activity. Now, I'm moving to the second pause. I'm going to play a small video, an animation of a favorite student of mine, and I'm going to ask you a feedback. Are we all ready? Yes, let's play the video and then learn from this.
Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to our powerful and practical course on public speaking.
Now, this video is an animation of my student, a 𝗤𝗏𝗄𝗃, Toastmasters 𝗤𝗏𝗃, finalist of the Toastmasters World 𝗤𝗏𝗃 Championship, a national champion in public speaking, an amazing speaker. He had one problem. He could not control the audience, the chattering of his fellow students in the beginning. I taught him a method called the attention pause. What is an attention pause? Raj, can you read this, please? Yes? Yeah, Raj, can you read it?
Yeah,
Okay. Yes, anyone can read it, please?
I can read it.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Like switching on a torch, it signals the audience to tune in or tune back in.
Beautiful. So this attention span, if you look at this boy, when he walked in, there was a lot of chattering, noise. The audience were physically present, but mentally probably they were at the playground or doing some shopping. Now, as the speaker, your business is to bring them back in. So the best way is to walk after introduced, slowly stand on the stage, pause for 5, 10, 15 seconds. That's a signal that the speaker has arrived and the audience will silence down, and then you can begin your speech. Now, when do we use this? We can use it 2 times, in 2 occasions, when you start your speech and maybe after a break or before a break. And sometimes during a session when the audience loses attention or they start talking too much, you move to the center of the stage, smile, using your facial expressions and silence and smile. You send a signal that I need silence. So attention pause is like a switching on a torch whenever you want. It signals the audience to tune in at the beginning of a speech or to tune back in when the middle of a speech or a session when they are disturbed. So this is the second kind of speech called the attention pause. Now let's move on to the next pause called the spontaneous pause. What is a spontaneous pause? This kind of pause occurs naturally. It just goes with the flow of the speaker's emotions. It adds a lot of value ethos to the speaker's message and also to the speaker himself. Now, this is used by keynote speakers, leaders, etc. And I just love this pause. And let me demonstrate this pause with a story. It was in the year 1993. I was on a trip to New Zealand along with my family. We went to the world famous bungee jumping spot at Queensland. The temperature was minus 20 degrees. And as we arrived at the spot, we saw a queue of 20 bungee jumpers ready to take off from a height of 400 feet. I said, they are crazy to have paid $100 to jump. And what guarantee is that the rope will not cut off? So I was standing along with my friends and watching them. All of a sudden, heard an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is Mr. Kadri from India. What? I looked at my friends. They were laughing. They were my well-wishers. I think they wish I would be in their well. Now I couldn't go back. The crowd started clapping and I was wearing a nice red shirt, easily recognizable. And I had to definitely walk. I made the slowest walk of my life, climbed that 400 feet because the lift was not working. And I stood there with 7 people, looking at the distance, and I knew this was my last day. And next to me was a couple from Andhra, mother about 35, 40 years, and a daughter about 18 years. And the daughters cried, I don't want to jump, I will die. The mother said, I don't care. I paid 5,000 rupees, you bloody jump now. And she wasn't giving me any encouragement. And my instructor was a tall guy, 6 foot 7 inches, built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said, so, hello, sir, how did you do? I couldn't even reply. And he put a clip. And I said, is the clip okay? Have you tied it well? Don't worry, sir. Till today, nobody has died. And if you die, it will be a world record. You will become famous in India. My God, this is what he said. His joke was no joke for me. And he asked me, sir, what do you do for a living? I couldn't tell him I'm a motivation speaker because bungee jumping is different, motivation is different. You can't mix those things. And as I stood on the edge, I looked in the distance, snow-capped mountains, a lot of forest on the side, and the copper, the open sauce, and they were like lips. Moment there, I closed my eyes and God, all the gods I knew, Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, Buddha. And all of a sudden, I could feel the cool breeze on my face. I opened my eyes. It was the most fascinating feeling I had And in the distance, I could see the snow-capped mountains. And as I dipped into the cold blue waters, I went about 20 feet below. I came out. I had done it. Now, that was a story with a spontaneous pause. And never planned the pause. The story went with my emotions and how the storyline went. And this is an incredible pause. The finest speakers use a spontaneous pause, and it gives you a lot of genuinity. So that is a spontaneous pause. Follow the storyline, follow the emotions, and just go with the flow. It requires immense practice, but that is the best pause you can ever have. Now, another crucial pause is called the transition pause. Now, this is extremely important for Toastmasters. Now, what is a transition? A transition is when you shift from one idea to another, helping the audience understand where you are and where you want to go. What happens typically when we Toastmaster write speeches, we have targets, we have so many things. The speech is not structured well. Now, this is where the transition plays a very important role. One of my mentees sent me a speech, and I gave her 2 points and asked her to connect it by a transition. Now, let us see what she has done. Yeah. Could you read this, Saharish?
Sure.
Read
Point
it loudly,
one.
please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Point
No,
one.
read the heading.
Okay.
Read the heading. Read the heading.
Using pauses with no or weak transition. Point
Okay.
one. St. Joseph's Convent taught me the values of friendship and sportsmanship. Point two. When I walked in today, I smiled. It was the same ground where I played football with my friends.
No. What she did, this exercise mentee, she added that when I walked in today as a transition for these two statements. Got it? Understood, everybody? Now, if you look at, there is no proper bridge between these two things. The first one talks about values. The second one talks about a ground. Now, if you look at your speeches, there will be a lot of gaps where transitions are very weak. Now, this is where transitions can play a very important role. For example, if I deliver the speech just regularly, okay, without the proper pause or a regular pause. St. Joseph Convent taught me the values of friendship and sportsmanship. I smiled. It was the same ground where I played football with my friends. Now, by the time the audience realizes what has happened, you've gone to the next sentence. Now, let me demonstrate that these 2 points are very weakly connected, but yet a proper pause, a transition pause, can create magic. Let me demonstrate. St. Joseph Convent taught me the values of friendship and sportsmanship. When I walked in today, I smiled. It was the same ground where I played football with my friends. Did you notice that I paused between 2 points which had weak transitions, and I also paused at the place where she had put a transition? Now, if I had to, anybody would like to join these 2 sentences by a proper transition? Or anybody would like to try? Okay, let me move on. And I joined these 2 and told her this is how a transition should be between these 2 sentences. Now, who can read this, please? Yes?
I'll read.
Kavita, can read it?
Kavita.
Yes, Kavita. There is a book for all of y'all. We're keeping track of it. Yes, Kavita, could you read?
Using pauses
Okay.
in a transition.
Yeah,
Point
good.
St. Joseph Convent taught me the values of friendship and sportsmanship. Point 2. As I walked in today, I smiled. This was the same ground where I practiced these solid values when I played football with my friends.
Now, what's happened, Kavita? Is it Kavita, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, what's happened is these 2 sentences are viewed, they have lovely transitions at every point. Yet, you are not able to get the maximum benefit of the delivery because the pauses were weak. When there are 2 sentences which have very good transitions, a pause will create a double magic. Let me demonstrate. St. Joseph Convent taught me the values of friendship and sportsmanship. As I walked in today, I smiled. This was the same ground where I practiced these solid values when I played football with my friends. Notice how a transition points will create a magic and connect two statements beautifully. So when do you use a transition pause? You use a transition pause at the end of a paragraph. At the end of when you shift from the opening to the body, put in the points of the point 1, 2, 3, and from the body to the close. You can use a transition to signal a different emotion. So basically, transition pause is used when to tell the audience that I am moving from a new point, an old point to a new point. So that's a transition point. Now let's move on to the emphasis point. What is the meaning of the word emphasis? Yes. Yes. So emphasis is highlights keywords. And this is a very powerful tool to make a message memorable. A lot of Toastmasters use working with words, triads, dyads, all good of this. And this is where this pause works very well, especially when there's a repetition factor. Let me explain to you. What exactly does it? Highlights keywords and brings to life that particular word. Now, I will demonstrate this for you. I was disappointed. I was depressed. I was devastated. If you notice, I paused before the word disappointed, before the word depressed, and before the word devastated. Let me demonstrate it once again. I was disappointed. I was depressed. I was devastated. Now, when you use a pause to emphasize the importance of each component, that word comes to life, allowing the message to resonate more deeply. It tells the audience, indeed, he was disappointed, depressed, devastated. In these kind of emphasis pauses, either you keep lowering your pitch or you keep highering your pitch along with the pauses, and then this emphasis pause becomes really amazing to use. So it can use like, there was a time when I was proud of my country. You can use it like that, or you can say, I came, I saw, I conquered. So this is the kind of pause. Let's move on to the reflective pause. A reflective pause is usually used when you make your audience to think, ponder about some deep emotional message. It encourages the audience, oh, this is a message, and ask them to think. Now, let me demonstrate. Think for a moment, Toastmasters. Every single day, 375,000 tons of food is being wasted. It is sad that it's for one, but everyone who is responsible. You understood? Space to ask you to think. I can even demonstrate the story. As I walked down from the metro today in Indranagar, I saw a beggar standing with a bowl, and he was asking me, give me money, give me money. I just walked past him. 100 feet down the line, believe me or not, I saw two young girls, about 10 years old, and they were twins. And they were blind. And they were crying. And I went to them and asked, why are you crying? He said, my mother went 3 hours back to get food, and we are worried she has not come back. And she spoke to me in beautiful Kannada. And the sad part is, they're having a beautiful black kitten with green eyes, which is also purring and making noise because it is also hungry. Was it their fault that they are blind? Now, you understand how a reflective pause helps the audience to think deeply about the message. So that is the reflective pause. And let me finalize the first portion of my master the pause. If you look at it, I created an acronym for you to read. So M is the mobilizing pause. When do we use a mobilizing pause? When you shift your audience from passive audience to active participant in silence. It creates curiosity, okay, and also asks them to reflect, and also you can drive a point. Attention pause is a pause. When you use it usually with the beginning of a speech, when the audience are disturbed or chattering, and maybe in the middle of a speech they don't have attention. Where is the sound coming from? No. Sorry. The spontaneous pause is when I demonstrate my bungee jumping story. And spontaneous pause usually follows the emotion, the storyline, and is one of the most powerful pauses. The great speakers use it. Transition pause is a pause when we shift from one point, signaling it's a new idea. Emphasis points bring to life the words which you want to emphasize or bring to show the audience this word is important. Reflective pause makes the audience think about a powerful message. Now let me move to the second portion, called the pause. Yeah. Now this pause is very popular with Toastmasters and world champions, where they involve the audience by a prompting gesture or by a prompting. But it's a little different from a prompting gesture. What the speaker does is, he encourages the audience to fill in the gap. For example, he will say half a sentence and the audience will follow the other half. He makes them active participants. They become collaborative audience being part of the statement. For example, if I say, tough times never last, but the audience repeats after me, or they think in the mind, tough people do. If you look at Dhananjaya's speech, he says, I see something in you. Audience says, but I do not know what. This is a phenomenal way to encourage the audience to complete the statement. They may not even talk loudly, but even in the mind, they will complete the statements. So this is a prompting pause. Make sure that as a speaker, you cut the word exactly at the prompt. Don't break it in the middle. Just say, tough times. Don't do that. Tough times never last. Tough people do. The audience will say that. Okay. Let me move to the next pause, which is used by leaders like Obama, Steve Jobs, and our old Prime Minister Vajpayee was a master in it, and Osho was a guru in this. Phenomenal pause, master in pauses. Yeah. So it's a brief silence when you respond to a question. So let me see how Steve Jobs responds to a questioning with a beautiful pause.
Yeah. What's the most important thing that you personally learned at Apple that you're doing it next?
Good question. I'm not sure I learned this when I was at Apple, but I learned it based on the data when I was at Apple.
So, Steve Jobs was to master this pause. If you look at every video, whenever someone asks him a question, he often paused deliberately before answering to think silently in deliberate. It became a signature style that you can come based on critical how to answer. Number one, session. Number two, when someone question, don't be in a hurry to jump and answer. Listen non-judgmentally. Understand the question fully, acknowledge the question and the speaker, pause again before you begin to speak. And the question and session is where most speakers and Toastmasters muck it up. They're in a hurry to answer the question or they overlap the answers over there. So answering pause tells you that you're a mature speaker who's in control of the entire session. And it's your last chance to create a great impression. The next pause, U, is my favorite pause called the unfolding pause. And what is an unfolding pause? It's a dramatic pause. A series of pauses, 1, 2, 3, each building upon the suspense to create a total dramatic effect. Now, I'm going to ask you, please close your eyes for just 30 seconds. In these 30 seconds, 3 little children have died in Bangalore due to starvation. Even worse, by the time my speech is over, 240 children would have died due to lack of food. Who is responsible for this? And we who waste food at weddings, at hotels, and even at homes. Think before you throw that grain of person. Now, if you look at that, I use a series of such pauses, 1 pause, 2nd pause, 3rd pause, each building upon the previous one to create a dramatic effect. Now, when to use a dramatic pause depends on your storyline, depends on the emotion, what you want to convey, the story impact. But the ultimate result, dramatic pause will leave the audience in awe. So that is a dramatic pause. I call the unfolding. The story unfolds step by step by step. Now we're coming to something called the S pause. Anybody can tell me what S is? And I will give them an e-copy of our book, Conquer the Stage. Kindle copy will be released next week. Anybody wants to guess what S is? You can type in the chat box, or you can even say that. No problem.
Surprising.
What is S for?
Surprising.
Yeah, tell me.
Surprising pause. Surprising.
No, strategic, they say. Yeah, not strategics. Little more closer.
I said surprising.
Suspenseful.
Suspense, yeah.
Suspense. Oh, that's a nice one. I haven't thought of that. Okay. Suspense. Okay. Okay. This kind of, the S stands for spotlight. What happens? You're continuously speaking. You want to drive home an important point. Now, that is a moment you make a statement and pause to draw the attention of the audience to what you want to tell them. For example, the definition says, it directs the audience attention to an important point or message you want to convey excellently. Now, let me explain to you. I think I went to Sri Lanka in December. I met Dhananjaya. And over a meeting, he shared 3 solid secrets of winning a world championship. And he said, I've never shared this with anybody. Would you like to know these 3 secrets? Let me start with the first secret. Now, if you notice what I did, I shifted from a different topic, a different pause, and I brought your attention to what I want to convey. That is called a spotlight pause. Okay, so you bring attention or the spotlight to what you want to say. For example, I can say, my daughter recently went on a weight loss program, and in 6 months, she lost 14 kilos. Incredible. And today, for those who are struggling with weight loss, she gave me 2 beautiful tips, which are just wonderful. I would like to share those 2 tips with you today. Are we ready? How you got the spotlight over there? Yes. Now we have learned all the pauses. The bigger question is the E. How do you actually implement these pauses on the stage? It's very easy to say, master the pause. But what is this? You need to experience a pause. I'm a firm believer that when the audience sees somebody on stage, it's a true reflection of what they are in real life. You cannot be an amazing speaker on stage and go home and scold everybody and be different. Do we see in evaluation? No, we have some buttered, jammed, and fantastic evaluation in Toastmasters. That was a spectacular speech, blah, blah, blah. And when you come back to the stage, you're normal, you criticize people, there's no CRC, there is no feedback method, you become normal. You cannot become, because public speaking, nothing but glorified conversation. If you want to be a phenomenal person, a phenomenal speaker who practice pauses, you have to experience pause. And how do we do that? There are 3 techniques I'd like to teach you. How many of you all want to learn these 3 techniques? And that is going to be the crux of the program. Can I have somebody in the chat box say, yes, yes, yes?
Yes, spotlight buzz.
Yes. How many of you all want to learn this? Right now, this is the key now. Fantastic, Ravi Shankar.
Yes.
Beautiful, Kavita. Awesome. I'm going to give you 3 tips. These are the things which are not available in any book. Of course, it's available in my book now. But over the Conquer the Stage, but over the years, I've practiced this. Let me give you tip number 1. And this works like magic. I promise you, if it does not work, I'll give you personal mentoring for that. Okay, done. What do you do first? Number 1. It's called the conversational awareness. What is this conversational awareness? We are not aware at the rate at which we speak. Maybe we talk too fast. Maybe we talk too slow. And sometimes we spoke correctly, but we don't have the proper pauses in place. No, we were not even aware. We have grown 30, 40, 50 years on this planet, but still the rate of delivery is so fast. There are no pauses and people do not get the message. In the beginning of my speaking career in Toastmasters, people said, you speak too fast, we don't understand you. So what did I do? I recorded my conversation from morning to evening one day, and I drove back home, I listened. Believe me, I hated myself because I never understood 50% of what I spoke. And that day, I created an awareness that I was speaking too fast. On the other hand, my wife, she speaks so slow that you'll fall asleep like an unlicensed hypnotist. So when you listen to your conversation, awareness creates that I need to change. How many other times somebody tells you levels? So the first rule is to record your speech on a telephone, listen to it, not your speech, but your daily conversation. Number 1. Next, number 2. It's called the speech awareness. So when you give your speech, ask your evaluator, another Toastmaster, tell whether the pauses were sufficient. I just pointed to Kavita that where the pauses could have been better. So ask your evaluator and other Toastmasters, pass a slip around and say, specifically, please tell me the pauses are appropriate or not. I'm telling you, it'll be beautiful. On top of that, you can record your entire speech, okay, on a phone, go back and listen, and you will see the pauses are appropriate. You will say, oh yeah, there should have been a pause over here. There should have been a pause over here. I slowed down over here. So that is called speech awareness. Number 3, this people are going to give you brutal feedback, family, friends, they'll say you speak too fast, too slow, etc. So ask yourself, be open to taking feedback. If you want to change it, I want to tell me, do I speak fast? Are there pauses? Do you understand? Do I interrupt? When you ask all these questions, you get a feedback. And the last one is, how do you practice the pauses? We have a detailed section on pauses, but to simply put, generally you practice pauses. You pause at a full stop, at a comma, at the end of a paragraph. You pause when there are emotions. You pause when you want people to reflect. But I have created a method. All my speeches, especially up to my DTM, had a coding system. Can I share that system with you all? Yes? Great. Let's move on. Now, when I prepare my final, this should be done when your final speech is ready. That's a final draft. Now, when there is a comma, put 1/. When there is a full stop, put 2/. A paragraph, 3. A reflective pause when you want your audience to think about the question you want. And for a dramatic pause, 4 slashes. Now, each slash is approximately 1 second. It could be a little more. Now, why this is very important is when you look at the picture and when you're practicing your notes, there is a vision cue that you have to pause for 1 second over there. Kavita, you understood if you want to practice this? And the second one, he'll say, oh yeah, there's a full stop. I need to pause. You're in a hurry to complete the speech and jump to the next point. Here it cautions you, and this visual imprint goes into your subconscious mind when you practice 7, 8 times. And when you come on stage, you will pause exactly at the same moment. Over a period of time, you don't need these slashes. You will shift from practice pauses. You'll become a speaker who becomes a spontaneous pause speaker. So these are all the things. So let's all together, let's put on the stage. I won't put it down now. Let's type in the chat box what M stands for. Can you type in the chat box M stands for? Let's see who gets M. Stands for mobilize. N stands for attention. Sarish is really listening today. Very good. S stands for my bungee jump story. Awesome. Now T is the crucial for many Toastmasters, because when the transitions are weak, that is going to be a saving grace. Absolutely. E stands for emphasis. When you want emphasis and bring life to one word or 3 words in a sentence, like a triad. And R stands for when you want your audience to think about an emotional moment, reflect. Then P for the prompting pause, where you stop a sentence, break a sentence into 2. A stands for answering pause. U stands for unfolding dramatic pause. S stands for spotlight. And E stands for experiencing the pause. Ladies and gentlemen, mastering, according to me, with 25 years in public speaking in Toastmasters, if there is one element, it is the pause. If you can master, you will become 100% better speaker than you are today. The methods are given you. Amazing. Thank you. I'm opening the sessions for the Q&A now. My good friend Anjana Paul is there. Very nice. Sharmila has not asked a single question also. I don't know why. Yeah, Sharmila, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Kadri sir. How are you?
I'm
It's
good.
been
I've
such
given
a
you a
long
book
time.
last time. So, the person involved most, if you're keeping track, you're going to get a book. Now, you have any questions for me?
So I did have, with respect to, you said wherever full stop is there, where a reflective is there. But how do we even identify in terms of, like especially the reflective, the emphasis? Sometimes it completely misses the point unless somebody senior like you points out saying this should have been reflective, this should have been, more emphasis. So that comes with practice, or is there something that we could do to figure that out?
If you look at what I gave you, let us say, let me go to the first part of your question. It's a very relevant question. Let me go to the first part of your question. The first part of your question says, you have to pause at a full stop and a comma. That's a rules of grammar.
Okay.
So full stop, rules of grammar, full stop. Comma is half a stop. Like that. That's the rules of grammar. You have to follow. And when you put a visual mark like a flag, it becomes obvious. When you want your audience to think deeply, it's a reflective pause. Correct? When you want your audience attention, when they're making noise, it's an attention pause. So each pause is got its own utility when to use. And that's what you have to learn.
Okay.
And actually, we have explained this, the 10 or 11 different kind of pauses in my book, Conquer the Shit, one entire chapter of 20 pages on pause. Because I believe that you have to practice. So it comes with practice, Sharmila, but you have to identify. Do you want to dramatize it? Do you want people to reflect?
Mm-hmm.
When you want to ask a question, it depends upon that. So each pause has got a pertinent utility, and you use that utility.
Right.
You want, for example, like you want to draw attention to a particular point which is coming less. Then use a spotlight. I gave you the example of my daughter's weight loss. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. You're bringing spotlight to something. Got it?
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Kadri sir, this is Abhijit here. I have one question.
Can you speak a little loudly, please?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah. Tell me.
Yes. So this question is related to attention's pause, and not particularly in case of speaking in front of people, but many a times we have to deal with people who are online, right? Our audience is online. How do we use attention pause for online audience? Is it the same way that you explained, or are there any nuances that we have to keep in mind?
I think it's a brilliant question. For the attention, in virtual communication, the rules are slightly different. Virtual communication. Probably when you start, for example, I wanted to get your attention by saying, those of you people who involve more today, who ask more questions today, I would like to give them a book. So I drew your attention. Maybe I will start with a dramatic story. Maybe I will start with completely silence. The rules are slightly different, but virtual communication, there are similar, but the rules are slightly different. But for a start, maybe you can play music to get attention, or maybe you can offer them a prize, or start with a big bang by an opening statement, and then like a quote or a question you can start. That will get the attention because they're not physically present and the audience do not make noise over here like in real life.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. That was Sriram, is it?
Abhijit.
Ravishankar had a question.
Yeah. Kadri, so we have a question in the chat. It is by Ravinder Nayak. He asked, is it not the spontaneous pause? Sorry. Okay. Yes, the question is it not that spontaneous pause falls into one of the other type of pauses?
The basic difference between a spontaneous pause and other pauses, a spontaneous pause just flows with the emotion, with the storyline. It can include all the other pauses combined together. It can include every single pause together, but it is spontaneous. It just comes emotion. I'm involved in my story. I'm in the flow. I'm in the message. I got a passion. I just connect. I'm not worried about what the audience think of me. I've got a message. I'm passionate about message. So it goes with the emotion, with the flow of the story. I'm fascinated. I'm enjoying my story. And that's how the spontaneous pause is usually a combination of all pauses put together. It takes years of practice. And the ideal pause could be a spontaneous pause. For example, if I deliver a speech or a workshop on the same topic, the same content, it will be different on both the times because my mood, my emotions are completely different. So I go with my emotions, how I feel. A spontaneous pause requires a lot of practice. It's a combination of all the other pauses put together. And it's the most powerful pause. And if you master all pauses, spontaneous pauses comes continuous, automatically.
I have a question here.
Yeah, who's this?
Bismaya.
Bismaya, tell me.
So you said the reflective pause around 5 seconds could be the best. Is there this is the highest timing pause, like 5 seconds, or some other pause also, like spotlighting could be more kind of, who is the highest rated in terms of time?
Highest in terms of time will be the mobilization pause. It's an activity pause. You ask them to take an activity, maybe for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, etc. So that would be the highest. A spotlight pause, just very less, maybe 3, 4 seconds. A reflective pause is more because you're giving them time to digest your message, to carry the emotion inside, to think about it, to feel. So reflective pause is more than a spotlight pause.
Okay. Okay.
But highest could be the mobilization pause because you want them to do an activity.
Okay.
I think Kavita also raised her hand. Kavita, if you have questions, you can.
Hello, sir. It was a wonderful presentation. I have a unique problem. I'm just trying to look for solution. You were teaching about the powerful passes where we have to use on different stages, right? But I have got one feedback from one of my club members. The thing is, I used to have a pause in between the sentences. Usually, we'll have the pause once we are done with the sentence. Like, I'm listening to your session and then pause. I learned some lessons today. So instead of having a pause at the end of the sentence, I have a habit of having pauses in between the sentence sometimes, unconsciously. So do we have any solution for it? I know by the practice we'll have to change, but is this something wherein you can help me with any solution or some tips?
I think it's a brilliant question. Pauses do not usually follow the rules of grammar. Okay, you have to pause at a full stop, a paragraph, a comma, etc. But in addition, you have to break the sentence how you feel. That was the longest day of my life. That was the longest day of my life. The same sentence I broke in different places, no? That comes with mastery. So don't worry about sentence breaking in the middle. Is it following your emotions? Is it following your thoughts? Then go ahead with it. That's all. But don't forget to pause at the end of full stop, comma. But in between the sentence is absolute. But if you're pausing because you're thinking and losing your thought process, then there is a problem. You have to work on that area separately. That's a different problem. You don't know what to say next. You're tongue-tied. Like in impromptu speaking, that problem occurs. But it's okay to break a sentence in the middle of sentence. Anywhere you can break depending on the emotions. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You see the difference? I can break it wherever I want. I'm stressing with the what. I don't care. I don't care. Okay. So which syllable you stress on and pause, no? The meaning changes. Like, I think there's a beautiful thing. I live in India. That sentence is there. You can practice it. So to answer your question, it's absolutely okay to break in sentence as long as it's not a stoppage in the thought of flow. Got it? Got it, Kavita? She's frozen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. One last question and then we'll close. Abhishek Nair, how are you doing, sir? Pranav Raj? Yes. Srini, do you have any question? I think so we'll end the session with Saraj Jain, one question from her. Because she was involved totally. And because I already identified that you're going to get one free book for me because you involved yourself very much. Pranav Raj said, no, I did it more, but I don't agree with him. Saraj Jain gets a book from me.
Wow.
It'll be sent to her. Yeah, beautiful book. Yeah.
Awesome. I will
And
also.
the second person, according to me, is Kavita. She also gets a book because she has some very beautiful questions. Yes. Let's see
Awesome.
one last question will get a book. Let's see who has a good question.
Anyone go ahead and
I
ask
have.
the question.
It's a good question. Anybody? I've got the book ready now. And also show you the book.
Bismay wants to give another try with the question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay,
No, actually, this question was in mind to ask. It's not for the book, but okay. Sometimes while delivering the speech, I personally felt like the next line I forgot. So I gave a long pause. So how can I manage with that timing, maybe 10 seconds or something, while the next line is just out of mind?
Does it happen when your wife? Okay. Does it happen when your wife asks you a question? You freeze like that?
No, it happens only on the stage when Charis is in front.
No, I don't believe it. It must happen. That's the way it's happening, I think so. Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt. You have this bad habit. Continue.
Yeah. So what kind of pause can help to manage those kind of situation?
The problem here is not the pause. A pause will not help you because you're forgotten. There are techniques which, when you forget a line in a speech, what do you do? For example, there are three components. Now that we have learned why nervousness is, how to overcome nervousness, let me explain to you the 4 methods to overcome nervousness. You say the first one is know your room. Second is know your audience. And you get stuck with the third one. Okay? And then you say, Toastmasters, anyone knows what the third one is? I'm sure this brilliant audience will know what the third one is. Then you have this pause over here. You ask a question, you have a pause, you get breathing time, your thoughts come in, and by the time Sharmila would have answered for you.
Understood. Okay.
You got it?
So some questions.
You ask a
kind of.
question related to the topic, not that specific, related to the topic. Suppose you're talking about emotional intelligence and you get stuck. There is one thing I always thought about emotional intelligence. You ask a question or you put the question back to the audience, you will get definitely somebody to answer. This is one technique.
Okay.
But when you're practicing, if you practice with bullet points and rehearse it properly, don't memorize your speech, you will not get in problem. To summarize your question, it's a brilliant question, I thought, that when your thoughts are lost, what do? Ask a question and pause.
Okay.
So we have finalized 3 books today. One for our PQD, one for Vismaya, and who's the other one? For Kavita. If I don't give Pranav Raj, he will not give me the photos and all that. So I'm going to give him 4 books. We are given hard copies. Please send your addresses to me and the thing. I will send the hard copies within a week. Thank you very much. Ball is in your court. We just have one slide to put. Yeah, just one slide quickly. Yeah, I had taken Pranav Raj's permission that we are releasing this book. I released it in the USA and also in Sri Lanka. This book, the black and white is $650. The color is about 1,650. The e-copy, Kindle copy, colored one is $289. But you can copy this barcode and we'll send you a beautiful book, a e-copy, Kindle copy. It is 385 pages book it is. Okay. It's got everything from winning contest to raising a toast, hosting a person, everything it's got. Pauses on full chapters there. So I'm just going to keep the screen on for about 1 minute, 2 minutes, and I also share it with him. You can scan this and you will get. We've already sold 700 books, e-Kindle copies. Yeah. So I'll just keep it for 1 minute and then I'll send it to a program quality director. She can give it to you. Done. Thank you very much. Back to Pranav Raj and the beautiful lady, Sarish.
Thank you. Thank you so much, DTM Kadri. So I think that you would have found today's talk inspiring. I would encourage you.
Speak a little loudly. Speak a little loudly. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I hope you guys would have found today's talk inspiring. I would encourage you to stay connected with DTM Kadri through the handles, either through LinkedIn or YouTube under the name Kadri Pethi. So you will see a lot of life-changing testimonials about him, how he has, recognized a lot of people in life-changing testimonials. Also, you can also buy his book on Amazon if you wanted to conquer the stage. Anyways, we have seen the scan. So if you would like to, thank you so much, sir, let me hand it over to our program quality director, DTM Sarish, for the closing notes. Over to you, DTM Sarish.
Thank you so much, Kadri sir. Can we have a wonderful round of applause? A lot of hearts, emoticons, and some great reactions on the comment box. Everyone who has tuned via YouTube live as well. Can you please leave your comments on our YouTube chat as well? Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session. I hope that the second edition of the monthly masterclass was fruitful to you. The contest season, I see a lot of contestants here in this room. So I'm happy that you all are very serious about the upcoming contest. We are very happy to see you here again and some familiar faces as well who attend our monthly masterclass every time. So Kadri sir, thank you so much for that master pause. You explained us about 11 different kind of pauses, which I have noted. I will ensure that at least I use 5 of them while I speak, and obviously use them in table topics as well, because that's going to be a bigger challenge. So thank you so much, everyone, for
I need the
attending.
addresses of the people in the chat box. Message, yeah.
Yes, so
Just send it to me and I will courier the books to them. And I would
Sure.
like to thank the District 92. It's an amazing initiative to enhance the quality of the education sessions. I think it was much wanted and brilliant thought process. I think hats off to you guys that you know the value of this education session. And I'm telling you honestly, this entire session we prepared completely new for this program itself. Everything we completely prepared, and we had a lot of challenges, but still we said you guys have taken out time. Thank you so much. I'd love to be part of your program. Call me anytime. And thanks to all my friends. And Sharmila, keep smiling.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone. As Kadri sir said, that this is to ensure that you implement the learnings from this session in your speeches, whether it is contest-related speeches, whether it is your club speeches or your table topics. We will come back with the November edition of the monthly masterclass with another speaker, another champion who would ensure that you will go one notch higher, not in terms of pauses because Kadri sir has reached the zenith, but yes, maybe in terms of some other aspect of public speaking. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all social media handles, and do not forget to join the next masterclass. The links will be there only in your emails. We'll not share the Zoom links over WhatsApp. So thank you so much again. Have a great day, and thank you so much, Kadri sir. We'll have a quick photograph. If you all or majority of you can come on video, then we'll have a quick snippet.
Yes. We just want to see your faces.
Yes, Nidhi, Vibha, Jain,
If you could.
Abhishek, Kavita, you were there.
Yeah, Kavita.
Kavita.
But
Abhi-
Pranav Raj, he's got the best smile, especially when there's a photo. He's got $1 million smile, I think. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's true. That's why he's a part